G'day, this is Captain Noob, and this is a PKM machine gun. This is a general-purpose machine gun made by the Soviets back in 1961-ish, and it's a odd-looking thing, don't you think? It fires the 7.62 Russian rounds, which are slightly different from the NATO rounds, but very close in their dimensions, and it feeds on the wrong side, or rather the right side for this thing, but generally you want the belt feeding on this side, and you'll have the ejected casings filtering out this side. But for some reason, the commies made it backwards, the feeding on this side, and what'll happen as you fire this thing, the ejected cases will come out this little trap door here, which I think is some sort of dust cover there. It's kind of cool when you see it in action, because the firing animations, as well as the reload animations, which this thing super has, are really cool. A little bit of, could I say, magic, a little bit of illusion here with how this thing works, because obviously you've got the spent casings and the belt that sort of continues on through the weapon here, and as you fire, that thing will actually move, but it actually won't advance. It'll only get that far down, but you won't notice it most of the time because it is hidden just behind this massive ammo box there. So I thought that was a quite little cool design feature there. How they did that was quite interesting to me, and a little bit of magic for you before we actually get into the attachments of this thing. So what we'll do is we'll look at the receivers first, and I've found that mostly these receivers do mirror what you'll find in the vanilla game. Like the aluminum parts kit is basically like your light frame receiver, and reinforced base is heavy frame receiver. Obviously you don't need a whole lot of perks to get those going. Normally you don't need strong back for that, but that's just a little bit of flavor, and basically they are flavor in terms of the first sort of attachments here. There's nothing changing physically about the gun or its model, I suppose, virtually, on this weapon, but the best damage modifier here is the ZSU modifications, or ZSU, and you can also improve this thing's fire rate with a rapid belt feeder, which I want to equip on one of these things. Also, there's a mounted variant, which will increase your damage, also increasing the range a little bit. So if you want to chuck a long barrel on this and a scope, you can snipe with it pretty effectively. So we'll be looking to expand the PKM in all of these directions in different versions. We'll be carrying a bunch of those, like those Ivan memes that went around, like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, where the dude's just carrying a shitload of guns on his back. Kind of like that. Who needs reloading, right? So we'll chuck on the ZSU modifications, which I suppose would just be advanced receiver. And for the barrels, you can have a really compact one, shortened, factory, which is what we've got to set it now. You can extend that out to increase your range and accuracy, and you can have an emplacement, which does reduce your rate of fire, but keeps the accuracy and range super high. So you'll be able to nail things in VATS from a pretty far distance when you're equipped with this thing. So for my sniper variant of this, what I'll do is I'll just chuck on the longer range receiver, the mounted receiver, and the longer barrel, and then I'll have a thing that is capable of hitting enemies pretty hard even at ranges. But for now, we'll chuck on the extended one and we'll crash the game. Okay, got it on this time, and I'll just say, for this mod, it's generally not what happens, but this mod loves to crash the game. The reason that I'm not doing, or haven't done this video earlier, is because there used to be a thing where as soon as I look at a different magazine for this thing, the game would just immediately CTD, crash the desktop for those who are not learned in that language. But there we go. So now we're on to the magazines, which you can actually change what this thing is chambered with, including having the smaller NATO round here, the 5.56. The standard ones from the game actually look smaller on the belt feeder there, and you'll actually get a massive amount of extra bullets in there because they're smaller and there's more room for those smaller bullets to fit. You can also chuck NATO 308s in there. 5.1. I don't know where I got the 3.8 from. Maybe the American rounds are 5.56 by 38, but yeah, you can chuck in these 308 one. They're just the 7.62 NATO rounds. You get slightly less damage because, as you can tell, they're 3mm shorter in a certain direction and dimension. And you can also chuck in the 9x53s, which will actually increase your damage even further, which you might want to actually craft these ammos on the workbench of the chemistry variety. We'll get to that in a second. But you can also chuck a shotgun thing in here if you want to make this a light machine shotgun. which sounds cool. And if you upgrade it with explosive rounds, you're going to have a fun time. But for this one, I think we'll just leave it with the standard. Let's go with the standard 7.62s. We'll have the 200 round box magazine in there, which makes the thing slightly darker. Also increases the weight of the thing considerably because you've got to carry all those bullets around. Yep, makes a lot of sense. And for now, you can chuck on some optics on it, including the Cobra Red Dot sight from Battlefield 3 and 4. I always liked using this one. Also, you'll note that there's just a tactical rail that just sort of goes there now. There's not any weird AK mountings for this thing to sort of put things on. So they just, I guess they just weld it straight on. That makes sense, right? You can also chuck scopes on it. So if you want to have a true sniper variant, then you can go right ahead and do that, which we will. I don't know if we'll need that much of a scope. That's a 20 times boost. I don't think I'll need that. Let's just go this one. I like that one quite a lot. Next up, we've got the muzzle brakes and the suppressors and stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot going on here. There's plenty of suppressors. Generally, the further you scroll down, the better all stuff will be, because that's just how the game sorts it. You'll find that a lot of these attachments actually require some pretty esoteric perks. Like this one requires 5 ranks of sneak, which I think is funny. It's also the big shotgun suppressor too that they use in Fallout 76 on the pump action shotgun. So there's a bit of trivia for you. This one looks like it's got the same covering as another mod that I've seen before. That's actually kind of cool. But if you want this thing to be loud and proud, you've got a bunch of muzzle brakes you can install on it. No, there's no flashings here. We're not sealing a roof off. No. This one's got a giant counterweight, which will help you control recoil, but you'll need heavy gunner to do it, so I think that's kind of interesting. Whether we'll have a stealth variant, well, you know what? We'll do that for now. We'll put it a heavy compensator. We'll definitely try to get a stealth variant, at least when I sort out my arsenal here. But yes, as you can tell, a lot of stuff going on. Legendary effectors there if you need it. You can change the reticule if you want to experiment with those at your own peril. And we'll chuck on this grip here to increase our control over the thing. It makes it a little bit more comfy as well. That's really important there. Next up, you can change what kind of rounds it is. Right now it's nothing, so you can get a free upgrade for a bit of copper by choosing the casted copper. Now, a lot of these actually have penetration properties about them, so I'm thinking if someone's taking cover behind some plywood where normally Fallout 4 bullets wouldn't penetrate through, you could probably send stuff right through it. So this is Total Metal Jacket, which is almost Full Metal Jacket, which would lead to a lot of references that could be used in this description section here. But what I'd like to do here is find the enhanced penetrating one. That'll get you an increase in accuracy and the most damage and a lot of armor penetration as well. Couple of things that are interesting here. You've got incendiary coated, which gives you the Skyrim flame damage, which armors in this game are typically not equipped to deal with. So that's just an extra 30 damage on top of that for free, which is great. Toxic Nerve Agent also gives you a bunch of this poison damage. You'll find that a lot of enemies in this game are completely immune to poison. So, yeah, don't use that one. The High Explosive here takes a frag grenade to craft, so make sure you got one of those on you, as well as the associated perks. And there's also Frangible, which gives you a little bit of bleed damage, which requires medic. Another good one is Overpressure, just to increase your fire rate if you really want to boost up the DPS even further. There's some hollow point there. There's no damage threshold system to make that really interesting, but it's there if you want. And ooh, that's an interesting typo, or is it? Next up, we've got the bipod, which we can remove it, have it collapse or extended, or a rail mount there, which you can use to attach a laser sight or a flashlight if you want. But wait, it gets better than that. You could have a handguard, which if you want to make this thing look more comfortable and make it seem like some sort of American weapon, you can chuck that on it, which is great, which I don't think we'll need. But you can have this thing, which has a British flag on it and a bunch of rails on it, Picatinny rails, including this one, which allows you to attach 7 laser sights if you feel like it. I have supreme hipfire accuracy. Pinpoint accuracy! but I think for this one we'll leave all of the fancy stuff off it, and we'll go straight to the stock, which you can have. That's like an AK-74U stock. That one, that's nice, and actually that's heavier than the fixed wooden stock. But as you go down here, you can completely remove the stock for a buffer tube. That seems very uncomfortable, and you can start putting some American-looking stocks on it as well. So if you want the M60 grip mixed with one of these Magpul stocks, then you can have a weapon that thinks it's American, but really isn't. For looks, I actually quite like the standard stock quite a lot, so I think I'll leave it on this one, even though you're barely going to see it. But last but not least, you can change the look on this thing. You can clean up a little bit. You can give it a woodland spray and other things, including this, which keeps you hidden in a postmodern painting, but nowhere else. We're not playing in a postmodern painting, but the NPCs probably couldn't see us anyway, so that's a cool skin. Maybe you'd see that in like Call of Duty for like 1,000 kills with it. I don't know, I've never played Call of Duty. And there's also a debug thing, which I've saved to last because I think that looks actually really cool. But for now, we'll leave that on weathered, and that's it. Let's go and shoot people, huh? Another cool thing is that if you switch over to the shotgun variant, you'll find there's even more ammo types for you to go through, including shoving a 50 cal bullet in there. That's my favorite. Oh, and if you stick a suppressor and shorten the barrel enough, you can get negatives in the range for your shotgun things, which basically gives you infinite range. So you can have full damage on everything, no matter how far you shoot them back, which is pretty broken, I think. But there's only one answer for this one. On your chemistry workbench should be easy to find, literally the first thing up, because they put an exclamation mark, so it adds it to the top of the list. You can convert your 308 rounds into the 7.62s that this thing fires. Normally, you can also create the 9x53 rimmed rounds, which are for slightly higher damage with 308s and 10mm rounds, and you can also create a PCAM machine gun from screws, gears, spring, steel, and wood. And no perk requires, so you could literally have this at the start of the game if you want, if you went and found those things. Nice. Righto, so we're out here outside of Immersive Gunners Plaza, and this is the PKM in all of its glory in first person. Aim down sight, you can fire it, and you'll notice that there's a lot of visual recoil when you fire this thing, which is potentially not intuitive if you want to use a sight like this, so probably the wrong choice of sight. Here's the reload animation in third person. It's not flawless, but I think it looks really cool, so that's what it looks like in first person. I think they've done a much better job there. You're going to be seeing it a lot closer in that way, so yep, I would imagine they'd put a little bit more effort into doing that. This is the next version I created. I call it Sniper Status, with a bipod and also a grip pod, a giant suppressor on the front, and a scope on it. And it's a see-through scope, so you'll aim down sights in first person and get all the zoom in, but if you don't want all that zoom in, just aim down sights in third person. Some of the see-through scope mods change it so you can, when you do aim down sights in third person, will immediately just transition into first person, which I think is the best way of doing it. But here we go. This one is the one that wants to be American. It's got American stock, American grip, a laser sight on the bottom, and also a suppressor, and it's loaded with the 5.56 rounds, which as they are smaller, we can fit a lot more in the box, and it's also got rapid receivers, so you'll find that its fire rate is exceptionally high, potentially super useful when using this thing stealthily with all of those sneak multipliers. This is the shotgun variant with all of the shotgun rounds sitting in the side there with a cookie cutter, a compensator thingy, and also a foregrip on the front. And it feels like it doesn't have as much impact as the 12 gauges in the vanilla game has, but we'll see what we do with it when we actually shoot stuff with it. And this one is called Y. It's a shotgun variant with smaller mags, some oil filter suppressor looking thing. Also, 12 gauge frag rounds, which don't explode as magnificently as I would have expected, but it is what it is. We'll pop a fresh box in that, I suppose, and I guess we'll get going. Now, normally I'd want to start off this fight sniping a little bit. So what I might do is we'll start off with sniper status over here. And we'll try to pick off some gunners before we get started. Hopefully we might be able to witness some of this... oops, I'm being attacked by a mantis. Get out of here. You'll find that you can sort of usurp the fire rate penalties of the barrel and potentially receiver just by literally spamming on the trigger a little bit. Like if I just hammer the trigger, mouse button 1, you'll find that I'll just kill everything super easy. Getting about 400 damage with all of that sneak attack criticals. I don't think this will last for very long, so I'll just start to subtly move on. But whilst the fog is clear, seems to actually come in a little bit when I actually take aim at these guys, so we all know what side the fog's on, I suppose. There is an explosive car right near me, so well, that's gone up, and I do believe the light cast of that may have gotten me detected, but I think the jig was up anyway. So we'll pull out our standard variant here, and we'll start shooting. Now, with all of these rounds, and oh, you see that? I'm shooting right through the tree. That's awesome. It's like the Viet Cong in the Vietnam War being able to kill Americans through trees because the AK-47 just had a much heavier round than what the Americans were using, which gave them a distinct tactical advantage. But now we get to use it instead of it being on the receiving end of it. Was it worth the wait? Although it's, I guess it's funny that a Soviet weapon is doing a little bit of history repeating in an alternate history sort of setup here. Anyways, we're almost out of bullets here, so we'll just, you know, let a few off that way, see if we can come up with anything. Let's move on to the third one, the America one, with all of the bullets. Now, I'm thinking I should be able to penetrate through this thin... Nice ragdoll. Okay, looks like that's not going to be too much of a problem, but there's a lot of gunners down there, and I kind of don't have the fire rate, and now I'm being flanked, so probably should do something about that. You can definitely feel the power differential between the big rounds and these smaller rounds, but the accuracy you get out of it, as long as you can keep the sights nice and centered, I think is quite nice. And being able to sustain your fire for 300 rounds, potentially if you're going up against, I don't know, something with like 1 billion health and you are able to keep nice and hidden from it, you'll find that it is quite advantageous to keep laying down that fire. Oh boy. Yeah, there's a lot of gunners down there, and I'm thinking I'm just going to move on here before they start getting too close to me. Alright, so this is the shotgun variant, and we'll see how we go. Man, even at close range, this thing is not doing... not nearly enough. I think a combat shotgun, despite firing a lot slower, is out DPSing this by an extreme margin. Also, I totally missed this guy. Okay, so we're going to shelve the shotgun variant and never give it again. Let's go with Y. Okay, we're getting minimal armor penetration. I might actually just go back to the sniper status just so we can shoot through those trees should they take cover behind them. That's Nerd Rage. Let's use that. Still outgunned. I'm not hitting anything. Alright. There might be a little bit of a learning curve here because this thing is not as accurate as I'd like it to be. It's not that pinpoint accuracy. I'm going to whack a fresh magazine in this because I feel like this is my best DPS by a considerable margin. Must be pretty close to level up. There it is. Alright. So every time you see the game slow down after a kill, that's because I installed the dynamic... It's like a Fallout 4 New Vegas mod where sometimes the kill cam will slow the game down a little bit. Oh, I'm on fire and also on ice at the same time. I guess that sort of balances out. But we kind of need an airstrike here. We need the Fist of God to come down and crush these guys. But I guess we'll just keep plugging away, keep chipping away, and make sure we don't overexpose to like 1 billion dudes at once. Or we could say balls to that. Hopefully jump up here and just use VATS. 1, 2 for you, 1, 2 for you, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1 for the ghoul as well if I can fit. VATS. It's the answer to all problems. Oh, that was a cool shot. Right up the barrel, backed behind some sort of... Is that the sun back there? It was. That was sick. Every now and then I forget about just how cool and cinematic the VATS camera angles were. Alright, back to Miraca. Let's go. Yeah, I feel like... Oh! I died due to damage over time. Don't worry about that. I didn't die. I just want to... Let's just breach this and forget all about it. Alright. Door breach with frag rounds. Yep, that's about as broken as I thought it'd be. Anyways, monster time, right? We'll make it quick. Alright, so let's start this off with just a little bit of sniping. And we'll hammer that trigger for as much DPS as possible. Look at that. And he's already mutated. We can even sort of back away here so he doesn't see me. We'll hide in this long grass like we're playing, I don't know, Far Cry. Oh, I guess it's almost over. Wow, he had no chance of seeing me at all. Cool. Alright, we'll move on. I guess that was quicker than expected. Let's see if we can't take out the ghoul without any suppressors. And, well, that's it for the sneak criticals. Now we're just going to keep the bloody thing on target. And look at him dancing around. He's not going to make it easy. Although, he is going to completely whiff a few times, which helps my case. I might run out of bullets before I can even finish this guy. Let's jump up back here. Oh, he's trying. There's an all-important stagger. That was a big burst of damage right there. And now's the downtime where we have to reload. Now he's into nerd rage at this point, which I think is going to knock... Sorry, he's mutated, which is going to knock me into nerd rage if he even hits me. Let's just get back up there, please. Ooh. We got to outpath him. Gotta use Bethesda pathing against him. I can't believe I'm surviving this. Normally he gets me like 2 seconds in, but today we're full matrix dodging everything. Maybe it's because I don't have to stop to reload every 2 seconds. I think that helps me out quite a bit. I feel like there's just so much spread on this which I can't possibly counter. Like, I'm holding it very... I feel like I'm holding it pretty true to his chest there, and still nothing. And we did that without being hit once. Maybe I'm just getting used to fighting Bethesda AI. Maybe I'm just good all of a sudden. But he's dead, and also I am wearing the PKMs now. I remember back in Battlefield 3 there was like a PKP Peschenegg weapon. And it looks a little bit like this. I think that was maybe a light machine gun variant of this particular weapon. This is a general purpose. I actually don't know the difference, to be honest. They're very similar and basically are the same anyway. But if you are looking for this mod, it's good. I highly recommend you download it. It's just another high-quality weapon mod that is probably not even law-breaking. So if you're a law nerd, you could probably get around this, and I would not blame you if... Like, it's such a good weapon mod, and... I always loved the belt-fed guns. I'm still waiting for an M240 Bravo, but, you know, we're getting closer, you know? People have made M60s, I've had M249s before with reload animations, so it's great. I highly recommend it, and hopefully we'll get more mods from the mod author as we go along, but I can't recommend this one enough, so make sure you download it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!